my name is Sue. I'm the head baker and owner of Cocoa Chilli. We are located in Almina, Dubai. Today I'm going to be making sourdough bread. Sourdough bread is a very traditional bread made with cultured yeast. Cultured yeast is nothing but flour and water which is fermented for over 9 days and then used to make the bread grow. So as you see here, we have the starter which I refreshed 2 to 3 hours before making the sourdough, water, flour and salt. Simple 4 ingredients. So I'm going to start with mixing the water and starter and then bringing it to the flour, and then I'm going to rest it for an hour. This is called autolyse, where we let the gluten relax and we can be able to make the sourdough then. Now I'm just going to put the starter mixture, which is the starter and water, onto my flour. Using my very friendly dough mixer, I'm just going to mix the dough just to bring it all together. You can do this by hand as well. However, I just find it very easy to do it with this. But if you don't have this, please use your hands. Once I can see that all of this is come together, I'm going to switch to my hand and just do a final mixing to just bring it all together once again. Now I'm going to rest this dough. I'm going to cover it and rest it for about 30 to 40 minutes. Now that I've rested the sourdough for almost an hour, I'm going to be adding the salt now. It's always best to add the salt after you rest the dough for a little while. So I'm going to add the salt right at the center and always keep a little bit water in the sides so that you can add it to the salt and it'll evenly dissolve the salt. Now I'm going to fold the dough inside so that it can easily spread the salt all over the sourdough. You can do this in the mixer. However, I will always recommend using your hands to do this because it's nice when you can feel and touch the dough and you'll be able to identify how much the dough needs to be folded more or if it's enough. Now, once I added the salt, I'm going to rest the dough for only 30 minutes, and after which I'm going to start the fermentation process, the bulk fermentation process, which is basically me folding every half an hour, folding the dough every half an hour to increase the strength of the gluten. So I've rested the dough for 30 minutes after putting the salt in, and now we're going to start the bulk fermentation. When I do bulk fermentation, I do the process of coiling the dough. I'll show you how it's done. So each time you put your hands through the dough, pull it and coil it through. So you have to do 4 coils in one turn. So turn the dough. This helps build the glutinous structure of the sourdough. So what is a gluten? Gluten is a protein that is present in the flour which helps build the structure of the dough. When we make it strong, there's carbon dioxide produced inside and the gluten helps to hold that structure, and that's how we get a round top on any bread. So I have done 4 coils in this dough and now I'm going to let it rest again for 30 minutes before I do the next one. So you will have to do it 4 times before you get to the last stage. So I finished 4 coil turns and I've finished the 2-hour bulk fermentation. Now it's time to shape and mold it in our molding bowl. Now people do it differently. Some people shape it the next day, but I prefer to shape it the day it's been folded. So as you can see, it's formed its gluten, it's quite well rested, so it'll be easy for me to shape. I'm going to dust the platform so that nothing sticks. I'm going to then drop the dough onto the platform. It's nice and bouncy. So try to put all the flour inside the dough, under the dough, so that nothing sticks onto the table. So first, do not push down the dough too much so that the gases don't get deflated. Yeah. So you press one little bit from this side, stretch, pull, stretch, pull, and you go here, and then it's time for you to shape. your sourdough is ready. And just, you can put it inside the mold. And any parts that you see that are open, just pinch and seal them. Now I'm going to put it in the chiller for 24 hours so that the gluten can relax, the dough can ferment, and the taste intensifies. As I mentioned earlier, I had kept the sourdough inside the chiller for 24 hours so that it can ferment and create the sour taste. So what I'm going to do now, as you can hear, the oven is preheated and it's ready to bake. So I'm just going to put a little bit of semolina on it so that it doesn't stick while getting out of the tray. You can also put flour, but I feel semolina gives a nice crusty taste and it gives a little bit of crispiness at the bottom of the bread. All right, now that I've put semolina, I'm just going to slowly and gradually put this on to the tray. You can choose to put more flour on top. However, I like it less flour and I can just spread any of the excess flour across the bread. Now is the fun part where I score the bread. You can see many people do different designs. I like to keep it simple, but today I'm going to do a little bit of design for you. I have preheated the oven at 240 at the top and 220 at the bottom with a steam of 10% for 2 seconds only. And then there are 2 more steps further down. The sourdough is now ready to take out from the oven, and this has baked for over 40 minutes. As you can see, it's colored really well, and the lift of the sourdough is also beautiful. You can see the little design I did here, that's come out well. Don't be alarmed if your sourdough is this color. It actually shows how good your sourdough is. The color is because it caramelizes with the sugars that is actually present in the flour itself. So, in just a minute, I'm going to cut it and I'll show you how it looks inside. You can see how beautifully the honeycomb structure has been formed. The starter has helped this form inside the bread, and this is what defines a sourdough bread.